Welcome to the Bleav in Kings podcast. I'm your host, Mark Haynes, and we're going to talk about that word right there, Bleav. Because Doug Christie has this team believing in themselves, and the whole 916 are back believing in the Kings. Now, the question is, should everybody be on board? We'll talk about that and some more coming up next. Now, the Kings are on a 5-game win streak. A 5-game win streak is impressive at any point of the season. But it's really impressive after going on having a 6-game losing streak, having to fire your head coach, having players talking about, your star player talking about potentially leaving all in the same time, dealing with injuries. It was ugly in the 916. And now all we're seeing and all we're hearing is light that beam. And they've been doing it. Doug Christie lost his first game as a head coach down in LA against the Lakers. And ever since then, it's been like his hat. I asked him after the game, is that hat undefeated? Because I noticed he said it didn't have nothing to do with it. He said he's not superstitious. I think he is jiving right there, but the hat is undefeated. The hat is 5-0. And now is the hat traveling to Boston. Because Boston, I Bleav, out of this, 5-game win streak, out of this whole run, this is the game that's going to tell if the Kings are really back being competitive, or did they just play some teams that are just not that good? Obviously, like you look at Dallas. Dallas had, basically their whole starting 5 was out. I think, who was it? PJ Washington was the only one played. Is either Washington? Yeah, it was Washington, I Bleav. Yeah. But no Lively, no Kyrie Irving, no Klay Thompson, no Luka Doncic. So obviously that's a really good team, but the team that played the Sacramento Kings, that wasn't a good team. But this Boston Celtics team, they're the defending champs. They're they're still, even though their record, they don't have the number 1 record in the East right now. I still have them as the best team in the NBA. You can't dethrone the champs, in the regular season. You got to beat them when it matters. And I think this is a really, really good test for Doug Christie and the Kings. Now, I'm not going to just, we believing in the Kings on here, but I'm not just going to say the Sacramento Kings is going to, this run, they're going to extend it to a 6-game win streak and beat the Boston Celtics, even though I would love that. Not too many people like the Boston Celtics, especially if you're on the West Coast. Not even, if you're on the West Coast, I just don't know many Boston Celtics fans. I love Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, those guys or whatever. But just historically, who on the West Coast likes the Boston Celtics? Not many. But anyway, so I would love for the Sacramento Kings to go out there, handle business, and get their sixth victory in a row. That would be amazing. But that's not what I'm expecting. I'm, if I'm being honest with y'all, what I'm saying, like I said, it's the Bleav in Kings pod, but I think the streak might end on Friday. But I would love to be wrong. So don't, I don't want everybody, oh, he's a hater. He is Sacramento. Nah. I wouldn't have this pod if I was, but I'm just being real. And the reason I say that is because, during this run, we still haven't seen the Kings at full strength, which is a good thing. So I'm not saying, oh, we get De'Aaron Fox back and we're worse. That would be blasphemy. That's ridiculous. But what I am saying is we have to see everybody together with their new coach, and he has to do the balancing act of figuring out, minutes, figuring out rotations, and situational stuff that he hasn't had the pleasure of working with yet. As we seen in the last game against the Miami Heat, double overtime game, the most exciting game of the season, was crazy. But as we seen in that game, I believe two players on the bench played double figure minutes, but you had guys like Domas. I think Domas reached 40, 49, and it might even been more. I remember when I looked at it, it was like 49, 47 for Keegan, 46 for, it was crazy numbers. They had to play a lot of minutes. And you're not going to beat a lot of really good teams, especially a team like the Boston Celtics, where you only could really play your starting five, maybe plus one. So that's and I think Doug knows that. I think he knows he has to figure out, how do I get Trey Lyles in the game for a significant amount of time. When I say significant, no, I'm not talking about 25 or whatever, but just double digits. I think he has to be in double digits for this team to be good. And when I say he has to be there, he has to be in there and be productive. You can't go in there and you can't just be out there for 15 minutes giving the starters a break and letting the league grow. You have to be in there and be productive, be scrappy. But Trey Lyles has to be able to play double figure minutes. Kevin Huerter has to be able to play double figure minutes. Keon Ellis, um, 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 gosh, why am I Devin Carter? Shoot, I'm thinking of Derek White because they're going to Boston, and I'm like, is no, they're both light skinned, you know. No, but Devin Carter has to be somewhere around. I like him around that 10-minute mark or whatever. So if he could get in 8 to 10 minutes of solid play, I think that's good for the Kings rotation, because they need to be able to rotate guys in and out, to be able to give De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan and they have to be able to get breaks here and there. Not big breaks. This is obviously going to be a team that their starters have to play big minutes, but they can't play 95% of the game. I'm not a math major, so I know I'm probably wrong on saying 95%. Obviously, I'm exaggerating. And hold on, by the way, hopefully I don't lose my thought, because I have no notes in front of me, but I'm just freestyle something real quick or whatever. And I was talking about minutes and guys got to play, so I'll see if I could get back to that. But I seen y'all in the comments talking about my tree. Hey man, get off my. I was in the process of taking it down. That's why I didn't have no ornaments on it. It was coming down, but my daughter, she likes the tree, so the tree was up. So get up off my tree, man. But anyways, back to the Kings. Rotations. They have to be able to play more than, two guys. And guys have to be able to play and give good minutes in order to be good teams, in order to be a good team, not even just be good teams, but to be a good team. Because you ain't gonna beat no good team if you're not good. And majority of the season, the Sacramento Kings have not been a good team. But right now, they have momentum. I think the promoting of Doug Christie has lit a new fire under the team. I think they're playing harder, and that's what I really want to see against Boston. Now, like I said, I want them to go into Boston and win. That would be nice. That would be a huge road game to win. That would be the biggest win of the season, because when you look at the schedule in the past, still all the teams that the Kings have beaten have been mediocre to bad teams. This would be the first time they beat a good team. And how cool would it be to beat the best for that first time, So I would love that, but I'm not expecting that. But what I am expecting, I'm expecting a competitive game. I'm expecting to see the same type of energy that we seen the previous previous five to six games. Just throw that, even that Laker loss. I throw that in there or whatever. But so not more so 5 during the 5-game win streak. That's the energy I want to see. I want to see, like, I think the Sacramento Kings have turned into more of a semi scrappy team as of late. But I think that's just from effort. I think Devin Carter, in the small time he's been here, I like what he's done. I like how he's figuring out how to play with these guys, with these veterans, because he's not a young rookie. He's what, 20, 21, 22, whatever. He's not a guy who he's obviously a smart player. He comes from a NBA family. His dad, Anthony Carter. So you can see that immediately, along with his athleticism. Like, the dude can jump. He's 6'2", and he's out there grabbing rebounds. He's contested shots and jumping over dudes or whatever. Like, he's not. And he's in the flow of the offense. He's in the flow. It does, the ball doesn't stick. He hasn't had a great offensive performance yet. And who knows, maybe he don't. But he's out there. He's being an impact when he's out there. I like his second game when we went down to the Bay, and he got the matchup of guarding Steph Curry. And I asked him about it or whatever. I wish I had it right now. I would play it for you, but the sound will probably be all crazy. But when I asked him about, guarding Steph, you could tell, he was prepared for that challenge. Obviously, Steph is Steph. Steph is going to get his, and he could go off and go crazy. But he understood the assignment. He accepted it, and I think he handled it well for the small time that he had to deal with Steph. And I like Devin Carter's approach to the game, and he surprised me. I knew he would be. I thought he would be a solid player. I just was like, man, I just don't know how he fits with this Sacramento Kings team. Then, on the other hand, I was like, not even just about him personally and how he fits, him mentally, to come into this situation where you get drafted to the Sacramento Kings, and on the draft board, Sacramento's very own Jared McCain, who ended up with the Philadelphia 76ers. He had a season-ending injury, but prior to that season-ending injury, he was really the runaway for Rookie of the Year. He was having a crazy season, but Devin Carter being drafted ahead of him in his own hometown and coming in late in the season, I felt like, man, maybe he might. This kind of an unfair situation for Dev. Dev comes in to a team with expectations, but they're struggling. Meanwhile, they're looking at this healthy Jared McCain, who they could have drafted and kept him in his hometown of Sacramento. And I thought he might feel like, oh, I got to come in and, try to do this, try to do that. I got to prove that I was the right pick, that I was the better player. And I don't feel like he's doing that. I don't feel like he's pressing the issue. I feel like he's letting the game come to him. And I think that's a sign of, maturity. And that's exactly what the Sacramento Kings need right now. They need a guy who's going to hustle. They need a guy who can, help rebound, help defend. And, that's literally when I'm looking at Devin and how athletic he is. He gets in the game and he's doing everything he can do to help the team win. And that's winning basketballs right there. That's what the Sacramento Kings needed. So as much credit as we give him Doug Christie, which I still believe he deserves probably the most credit in this 5-game winning streak, I think Devin Carter is a part of that spark as well. And I think Devin Carter is somebody who believes in himself and back to the Bleav word I was talking about. I like how Doug Christie is preaching it. Now, I can't confirm and I will not deny, but Doug Christie might be a listener or viewer of the Bleav in Kings pod, because the first time he said the word Bleav, one, it was to me, and it was when I asked him about Malik Monk stepping up while De'Aaron Fox is out with the right glute injury. Is it the right or the left? I don't think that really mattered, but the glute injury. But he was like, yeah, he's a fantastic, tremendous player. And he was like, I Bleav in him, and he has to believe in himself. And I want all, and it's just kept going. It's kept going. The next game, Doug Christie, yeah, I just want my guys to know I Bleav in them, and once we believe in ourselves and believe we could be a good team, and obviously I'm paraphrasing, but go look at it. Bleav is popping up everywhere in my man Doug Christie post game interviews or whatever. But I think that might be the theme of this team's season. That's that right? Yeah, that might be the theme. That might be the theme for this team this season. There you go. Whatever. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. But I think the Warriors had the Bleav team, and I think this is similar, especially with how everything transpired. If the Sacramento Kings can go on a run, this is going to be go on a run and make it into the playoffs. Because again, the standings aren't they're sitting, I believe they're still 12, but they're not so far behind where it's like, oh, these dudes, the Sacramento Kings have or they're 11 now. Sorry, they just jumped ahead of the Phoenix Suns, who have their issues going over there, but they're in the 11th spot. The Golden State Warriors are half a game ahead of them, and let's see, to get into the 6th spot, they're really like to get in this. Yeah, they're 2.5 games away from 6. So you go on a run and you make it into the playoffs. I think this team is guaranteed to make it into the play-in. So, yeah, go ahead and book that for sure. They'll be top 10. I'll say that. Man, earlier in the season, it was I was worried. I was worried about saying that, but right now I confidently say that I Bleav, there we go, using that word again. I Bleav the Kings are for sure going to make a play-in spot. But if they continue to play the way they are, if they continue to gel, to click, if they continue to Bleav in what Doug Christie is saying, this could be a similar, like a Bleav in Kings season. This could be the Bleav team, because how they started, man, it felt like it felt like they was going back to the 20-year drought, of missing the playoffs. It got severely ugly. I haven't covered the Kings during one of those bad seasons, but I was like, man, this might be it. This might be the year where I get to witness, a underachieving team and cover them for a full season. But I don't think that's happening. I think that's the one thing Sacramento could Bleav in. Go that word again. I should count how many times. Somebody should count how many times I said Bleav. But this is the year. I think if they make it to the playoffs, I think they can. The making it to the playoffs would be spectacular. You want to do that, but I think this team could potentially make some noise. And I'm not saying make noise as far as winning a championship or whatever, but I'm saying they can be exciting. They can be a team. This could be a team that the better teams in the Western Conference don't want to play. They could be a team that's feared. Because I think if they could be that this year, if they could just get to that level, I think next year, you can build from that. You can build from that. And you might not be too far away from really being a contender. But front office, they got to make the right decisions. And right now, I hate to say it, love Mike Brown, man. Great guy. Enjoyed covering him. But right now I have to believe that management might have made the right decision with moving on from Mike Brown. I might have to say that I might believe that. But it's one of those situations where it's like, all right, I have something going and it's going good, but do I have better? Do they believe Doug Christie is the better coach? Do they believe Doug Christie was a better fit? And right now, it's obviously, it's only been 6 games. So don't say it like, oh, you said this. You start trying to rip me in comments and stuff. You glazing Doug Christie did da. And now we losing. Now I'm just saying, right now in these 6 games, things look good. The beam has been, using up the Golden One Center's energy bill again, and they saved some money in the month of December because it was dark out here. I'm used to going out there and looking outside and seeing a light, but Batman was gone. He was on vacation. But since Doug Christie has been back, since Doug Christie has took the Sacramento Kings to the roof to see the beam in person, they look like they believe in each other. And it all started with them believing in Doug Christie, who might have been believing in the Kings podcast all this time. Cause I might have to ask him about that, man. He might have got the Bleav, the Bleav theme from yours truly. If he ain't got to tell me, I just want to see them play good basketball. And if somehow I could help from, sitting here and talking into this microphone or whatever, I'll take that. That's enough. Doug ain't got to tell me it's about the Bleav in Kings pod, but I tell you, this is gonna be the #1 podcast coming out of Sacramento, and it's been a pleasure covering this season, covering this team with the ups and downs. And it's been a pleasure talking to y'all. But you could believe one thing, that this is the end of the episode. And you can believe that I'll be back very soon. And it's your boy, Mark Haynes, the one and only, with the Bleav in King podcast, signing out.